It's Rob and Brent and my Reggie dude, and don't forget it also features Dawson too. We gonna give you all the dope reviews, but first we'll hit on all the movie news. Cha-ching, cha-ching, box office due. In between the news and the reviews, there's not a lot that we don't do, so turn the volume up, cause we coming through. Put your headphones on and tie your shoes. Jackman and Grant, we got all the views. We're like Brando in Godfather 2. We're gonna make a podcast you can't refuse. This is the Cinema Chat Podcast, and we know a lot about movies. Welcome back to the show, everyone. It's another episode of Cinema Chat Podcast with Rob and Brent. I'm Reggie, featuring Dawson. I'm Brent.
I'm Reggie.
And I'm featuring Dawson.
And this week, it is the week of the Christmas holiday. It is the holiday season for those of you in the world. And, we thought what better time to do a Christmas movie than the present. So we settled on Die Hard, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. The best Christmas movie of all time. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually... it's not a Christmas movie, so we're not doing Die Hard. We're going to do Jingle, Jangle, A Christmas Journey. That is a Netflix movie, and not only is it a Netflix movie, it is a Netflix musical movie. This was old Reginald's pick, but before we get there, we've got some stuff to take care of, some business, as they would say. I got a question for you guys, and I want you to answer it when we get back. What did we watch this week? Let us give you a peek. We'll get to the news real soon. First, listen to this little tune. Give us the attention we seek while we tell you what we watched this week. Tell them, Rob. What did you see? Tell them. They want to know. Reggie, while Dawson's fumbling around over there, what did you watch this week?
I watched 2067. Actually, you know what? It may have been last week, and maybe I just forgot about it. I don't know. But I also watched Enter the Warrior's Gate, which is a Dave Bautista movie. It's like set in... Okay, this kid goes in the past. Oh, no, he's a video game player type. And then he gets, like, transported into, like, ancient China. And he's trying to save this princess in this kingdom. And Dave Bautista's trying to get the princess, the empress, rather, to marry him. And it's a really interesting movie. It's one of those movies that China, I guess, is, you know, how China's trying to make, like, do their own Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those movies. But I'll say this, quite enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Christmas Crossfire, which is not a good movie.
Wait, Christmas Crossfire?
Yeah, so basically it's about this this guy and this woman, they meet up and they kind of hook up like a one-night stand, and she's like, well, why don't you come, you know, we're not doing anything and we had a great time, so let's go to my hometown or whatever for the weekend. And then they interrupt this hit job that goes wrong, and it's all about these people trying to kill them, you know, and it's like, I don't know, 45 minutes into the movie, I looked at Jonathan and I said, isn't this supposed to be a Christmas movie? Because they never mention anything about Christmas in the movie until like the 45 minutes, and that's when you see like some Christmas lights, but that's it. And I was like, I don't know, like it's not the movie that was advertised to us.
So you're saying it's not a Christmas movie?
No, well, more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard. But like I wanted to find an action Christmas movie, you know, because it was because of the Die Hard thing, and then I was like, I looked up action Christmas, and that's what Netflix gave me, but Netflix was very wrong.
Jingle All the Way is Christmas action movie.
Reindeer
Dawson,
games.
Dawson, you okay over
Ooh,
there?
reindeer games, yeah.
Yeah, my F4 key broke off in the accident that happened earlier today, and
Oh no!
I've been trying to get it back on there, but I don't think it's going to reattach. I think it's just done.
No.
Anyways.
Dawson's daughter knocked over his setup, and he had to go get a new USB cable. Like, he was rushing to get home from the store right before we were recording because it fucked up his USB cable and apparently his keyboard as well.
This thing is fucked. Hope I don't need the F4 key. Anyways,
What does F4 do anyway?
I don't know.
You don't
Alt
need that.
F4 is like copy and paste.
Control C,
So is
Control V.
V, C and V.
Control C, Control
I'm
V.
kidding. Alt F4 is it automatically closes whatever program is open.
Oh,
It was a joke because like
cool nerd joke.
I don't use the
Oh,
function
like-
keys, really.
like in video games somebody would be like, "Hey, how do I use the health pack?" And you tell them hit Alt F4 and then they close their game. Whatever.
Man, that's a cruel joke. I don't like that. Dawson, are you prepared to tell me what
Yeah.
you watched this week?
Oh
Yeah, I
wait,
watched-
Am I
oh,
done?
sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
not done.
Really?
Freaks. And then Into the Spider-Verse. I watched that again. That's it. That's all I watched.
What's Freaks?
It's about this woman who finds out that she has superpowers, and then there are all these other people who have superpowers, but like her psychologist and like I guess people in government are just giving these people these pills and telling them that they're crazy, so that they don't use their superpowers.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and it's about her coming into her own.
Okay.
Are you
Before,
guys still there?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Okay, because my monitor and everything just turned off.
No, you're here. You're good. We're just having all kinds
Okay.
of technical issues tonight. Bear with us, everyone. It wouldn't be technology if there wasn't an issue. Before you go, Dawson, I just watched one thing, and it was something that I rewatched. I rewatched Alpha Dog, which I haven't seen in quite a while, and it's weird. I'm sure you guys have movies like this too. Like, I thoroughly enjoy Alpha Dog, and I kind of forgot what it is that I like about it, and I really enjoy it for some reason. I can't even quite put my finger on why I like it, and at the same time, if someone told me they hated that movie, I would completely understand, and like, it's not a movie I would ever go to bat for or try to sell someone on. It's just one of those movies that I'm like, I like this, and I might be the only person that likes it. I don't know. But I definitely wouldn't go to bat for it. So that's kind of...
Is that the one with Justin Timberlake in it?
It is. And I think that's why a lot of people, sight unseen, say they don't like it. Because I think he gets a lot of hate because he's a boy band music guy. He's all right in it. He's not bad. I think he could maybe be a decent actor. Maybe. If given the right role.
That's what I thought too. I thought that too. Because like he's a great comedian, and I think that's something to say. You know, I think anybody can do comedy. So
and
he
I
probably has some good acting chops.
I think it is, because anytime you mention it, someone's like, "Isn't that movie Justin Timberlake's in?" And I think that is part of the reason why people like dismiss it, because he was in it, and it was like maybe his first acting role. Like, I don't even know if he had been in anything at that point. But he was good in Social Network, and yeah, I think he could be good. But yeah, I like that movie. Like I said, if you were to say you hated it, I would completely understand it. I would get it, but I like it. Dawson, what did you watch?
I watched a couple movies. I watched a movie on Netflix called A Futile and Stupid Gesture. You guys ever seen that one?
Never even heard
It's a
of it.
biopic.
No.
It follows Doug Kenny. He was one of the original founders of National Lampoons. It stars Will Forte. A lot of stand-up comedian, or a lot of comedians are in that. It's a really cool little biopic. It's like an hour and a half. It follows Doug Kenny. He, like I said, he did National Lampoon. Him and his buddy, or his roommate, they started a magazine in college. That eventually turned into a TV show, and that eventually turned into Animal House. And this movie really follows Doug Kenny. If you haven't heard of him, there's probably a reason why he didn't make it out of the 80s. But yeah, he's the mind behind Animal House. He's the mind behind Caddyshack. It was a Netflix original. Came out in, I think, 2018. I just saw it scrolling through. Underneath it was hidden gems you may have missed. So I checked it out, and I enjoyed it. I would give it like an 8 out of 10. I also watched Freaky. I watched that today, or over the last day and a half. The Vince Vaughn recent Blumhouse movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really liked it. That is, if we were to watch it as a group, I'd probably give it an 8.5.
Yeah.
It's way more brutal than I expected. The jokes are there. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something new to watch, it's a rental. It's $20 right now. I would pick it up if you want to look for a good horror. Reggie left the call. Horror or comedy. But yeah, it's brutal. The kills in there are definitely more not what you expect from like a Freaky Friday movie.
Yeah. No, I want to see that. I definitely want to see that. And Reggie said his computer crashed, so hopefully he will be back, because I really don't want to review Jingle Jangle without Reggie.
That would be tough. That would be tough.
So hopefully he makes it back in. But yeah, I do want to see Freaky. That's on my list of movies to catch.
Yeah. I was powering through some HBO Max this weekend, or this week, and I saw that Underwater was on. I think Reggie saw it. It was one that I kind of wanted to see. Yeah. Oh, you did review it. That's right. Yeah. I wanted to see it just because I liked the idea of it being a Cloverfield continuation or movie, but it wasn't that good.
It's terrible.
Yeah. We watched the Star Wars holiday specials, which you'll be able to hear us talk about on Patreon.
Patreon.com/Cinema Chat Podcast. Thank you, Dawson.
You got it. I also watched one episode. There's a show, a Disney Plus original. I feel like I'm going to spend a little more time in there just to check out what they've got. But I watched one episode of a TV show called Prop Culture. It essentially follows a guy who's been a part of the prop scene, behind the scenes for all these Disney movies, and basically a lot of movies you've seen. And so he's kind of made his personal mission to go out and to restore some of these pieces of Disney history that have just been sitting in a Disney vault and haven't been touched. So the episode I watched was around Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and specifically around the Shrink Ray. The one that Disney had, they continued it through the 3 movies, but they kept changing it and adding it. So the version they had was at the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids 3, and they wanted to get it back to the first one for the fans. So through this half-hour episode, he sees the props like the ants and the scorpions, and so he gets to see that, and then they restore it and they bring it back to Disney. So it's a pretty cool, if you dig props and history of shows. There's only like 6 or 7 episodes, and they're all Disney based, but yeah, check it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's a Disney original, right? Like, there's a ton of stuff on there that's behind the scenes, and I liked this because it wasn't like, here's a cartoon. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. They've got Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They got a handful of shows, and props are like, I like memorabilia. I like things like that. I like going to Disney World and like being a part of, going in the giant Lego brick and seeing the giant ants, and like, you get to do that stuff when you go into a Hollywood studio. You get to be a part of these movies, and that's cool. So check it out. And the last thing I watched, it came out today, but it's a 4-part mini series, I guess, on Netflix called Andrew Schultz Saves America. Andrew Schultz is a stand-up comedian. He has, think of like a John Oliver or Last Week Tonight, but with a stand-up comedian he doesn't really hold back punches. But each episode's like 15 minutes long, and he's done this bit over 2020 where he just sits down and he goes, and it's funny, it's witty, and he flows together almost like a stand-up bit, but he's giving you information. And he covers 4 really big topics over the last year. So coronavirus, racial injustice, Trump. I mean, he covers kind of all of that. So it is political, but I would say watch it because he's down the middle, right? He's not, his whole message is like the extremes on both sides are hurting both of us, And that's kind of what the message comes down to. And like, yeah, so it's
Yeah,
interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, you told me I should watch the first episode of that. So
Yeah,
I'll check
he's
it
a
out
stand-up
next
comedian,
year.
so he has very colorful language, and he says some things that not everyone's gonna necessarily agree with, but that's what he believes. So
That's
check it out.
Most comedians
Yeah.
say some things that not everyone's gonna believe.
No. So that was my week. I had a big week.
You did have a big week. You acquired a lot this
I
week.
acquired a lot of movies this week.
All right, Reggie's still not back with us, but we're gonna soldier on, and hopefully he will pop in. Let's do some movie news.
Cindy, the news is on.
Insightful,
Good news.
If the headline is big enough, it makes the news big enough.
timely,
The news goes on for 24 hours a day.
well prepared.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
Well, I got some bad news for you.
Do you want the Aladdin news or the Aladdin news?
The Aladdin news?
This is movie news.
Fantastic Four.
All right, Dawson, what do we have?
Movie news. All right. So obviously our big news last week was around Disney. The week before that, we had Warner Brothers. It kind of sounds like people are pushing back on some of the movie studios. We've had different themes of when things are going to get released on streaming, same day, a couple weeks later. But movie theaters are kind of taking the ball into their court, and they're saying, all right, fine, you make money off of our tickets. You don't make money off our concessions. So maybe for Warner Brothers movies, we'll slash the ticket prices to $3 or $5. So the studios would make 30 cents or $1 on each ticket instead of before, and the movie theaters would make all their money on concessions.
So I'm trying to understand this. Theater, I guess the studios get a percentage.
Yeah.
Of the
So
ticket
they
price?
typically have like agreements, like Star Wars when they put The Last Jedi out or whatever. They made an agreement that it has to be in your prime time, like at your biggest screen for 8 weeks in a row, regardless of box office. And we get to take 70% of the ticket price. So they get to negotiate all that, and the movie theaters essentially say, okay, because it crams people in the buildings. They know they're going to have these blockbusters. So essentially, movie theaters don't make any money on the tickets, and they haven't in a really long time. So now it's their way of trying to fight back and say, fine, we don't care, keep the ticket money. We'll just make concession money, or experiences like food and drinks and whatever. Because if I can go see this new movie on the theater experience, like we've all talked about, we like for weeks, or we've talked about for forever, we like the theater experience. I can pay $3, go sit in the theater, and I don't have to worry about watching it on HBO Max at home because it's $3. So that's what we're looking at. Maybe, who knows? They might all just can't. Maybe they'll call it all off. Maybe they'll just pull back on everything and go back to.
Well,
regular.
I know that it seems like every director and actor in Hollywood, aside from Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, which got kind of the sweetheart deal, everyone's pissed because they weren't consulted and they're worried about their back end profit sharing. The thing that Warner Brothers did with Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman was that they gave them their back end cut as if the movie made $1.1 billion.
Wow.
So they said, let's just assume it would have made $1.1 billion worldwide. We're going to give you the cut that you would have gotten if it had done that. Now, that's probably the only movie that's going to get that kind of deal. And I think that's sort of what everyone's pissed about. Like, no one's going to get the treatment that they got for Wonder Woman 84 on their movies. Everyone's pissed. Everyone's mad at Warner Brothers, except for consumers. Everyone in the industry is mad at Warner Brothers. I don't know. At some point, I do think the scale can tip, right? Like, there's only so much you can do while making the consumer happy and pissing off your partners that doesn't do long-term damage to you as a company. Last week, I think I said, or whenever we first announced this, whenever that was, I said, there's plenty of people out there that want to make movies. There's plenty of directors and actors that aren't involved with Warner Brothers right now that would be dying to get their movies made with Warner Brothers. They'll be fine. But it's starting to feel like the entire industry is turning on them. And I just don't know if they can continue down that path. Like, I kind of feel like the first few months are set in stone, but these movies in June and July, especially these movies in October and December, like Dune and Matrix, I'm not so sure they're going to be coming out on HBO Max the same day.
Yeah, I feel like they might change their tune and just say, you know what, we're actually going to release those a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Or throw in or they could say, we've already said it, so it'll be on there, but we're going to charge a premium and then we'll kick it back to the movie theaters or somehow. I don't know.
I don't know, but I do think that, and I wish Reggie was here to talk about this because I have a feeling he would have something to say about it. I do think that they are maybe starting to do more damage to their business relationships. It might wind up working for them financially in the short term, but it might hurt them long term professionally with their partners.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, there's ways to bounce back from that, of course, but you'd have to do a lot of mending offenses at this point, I think. So
it's going to be weird. We'll see what happens.
It will be weird.
Moving on, not necessarily movie news, but Sebastian Stan and Lily James have been cast to play Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson in a Hulu TV show that no one asked for, but it's going to be cool, I guess, because that's what we're getting.
Are they going to do the sex tape?
The boat scene? I was suppose they got to do the boat scene.
Does Sebastian Stan have a massive hog, or is he going to have a stunt cock?
He's going to have a stunt dick.
Stunt cock.
Yeah, bring on the big one. Yeah, so that's not really news. We scrambled before and I saw that and I thought it might be fun.
I like it.
Yeah,
I would watch it. One, who was the girl?
Yeah,
the actress,
Lily James.
Oh, okay, all right,
yeah,
right on.
There was also a recast in Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. They recast. I'm trying to blank on her name. His daughter. Cassie
Lang.
Kim. She's been recast with Cassie Lang. She's been recast as or with the woman that was in Freaky. Can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on her name too. Not a great night for me. She was the main actress in Freaky, the blonde-haired lady. Freaky.
Did she make more box office than Jingle All the Way in 1996?
She did make more. Catherine Newton. So she'll be in Marvel, so you get a look at her some more. This one hits home a little bit to me because of how much I love Revenge of the Nerds. I think it's classic. I don't think it should be touched, and we are going to be getting a reboot brought to you by Seth MacFarlane and the Lucas brothers.
I like the Lucas.
So
the Lucas brothers.
So it's going to be a reimagining. It's going to be a 2020's version of what a nerd looks like, because nerds now are what was getting made fun of in the original. So I don't know if it's going to be like fantasy football player. Like, what is it going to be? How are you going to make fun of the kids playing esports that are making more money than athletes? Like,
I mean, they kind of touched on this in 21 Jump Street 10 years ago almost at this point. Whenever Channing Tatum's character, the football stud, goes back to high school, he's not the cool kid anymore. Yeah. He's the one that's out of place, kind of deal. So I don't know. I mean, I like the Lucas brothers. That alone is enough to make me give pause. But Seth MacFarlane?
I hate Seth MacFarlane though. Not a big fan.
So we'll have to see how that works out. But it's coming. So it's early on. It just got announced.
Get on the train,
Reggie,
bitch.
Yeah, Reggie, I'm glad you're back because you're a big D&D guy, right?
Not really.
Were you growing up as a child? Was it a childhood thing?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, this next bit isn't as much fun. Chris Pine, you are a D&D guy, aren't you? Chris Pine.
No, I've never played.
Okay. Well, then Chris Pine will be starring in a live-action adaptation of Hasbro's role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons. And they did find their director. And I was going to say it was J.J. Abrams and Chris Pine are back together. But since you don't care about Dungeons and Dragons, it's not as much fun. So joke's over. They got a different director. But I was just trying to wreck your childhood some more. Merry Christmas.
Oh.
Didn't they make a Dungeons and Dragons movie already?
Yeah, with two of them.
Marlon
Jeremy
Wayans?
Irons was in one. Marlon Wayans, yeah.
See, that's like Alpha Dog. Everyone says wasn't Justin Timberlake in that. Whenever anyone brings up Dungeons and Dragons, I'm like, wasn't Marlon Wayans in that movie? It's the only thing I know about it.
Wasn't as much fun as I thought it was gonna be. I thought Reggie was gonna be like, Dungeons and Dragons is my favorite thing. Yeah, Star Trek, Dungeons and Dragons, and Star Wars, and then.
Well, he texted
I'm
me.
sorry.
He texted me earlier this week, and he was like, "Reggie's a Dungeons and Dragons guy, right?" I'm like, honestly, I have no idea. I mean, it seems like it fits, but I don't know. I was like, it tracks a little bit, but I'm not sure about that.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
My bit, I thought it was going to be great. I thought it was going to be real funny. Well, and that really concludes the news. I mean, we do have a special treat for everyone out there. Brent put on his acting hat tonight.
Oh,
and he's going to do a dramatic reading, little dinner theater for you.
Before I do that, I wanted to give Reggie his chance to talk about
oh yeah,
studios slashing prices on Warner Brothers tickets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? I sort of said, a couple weeks ago, I think you might have even said like, they're doing something good for the consumer, but are they hurting themselves with their partners? And since then, like, it feels like the entire industry is sort of caving in on them. Everyone is mad at them except for the consumer. And I do think that there is, I said this earlier, and I'm going to repeat it now for you, that there's a tipping point where maybe they are doing too much harm to their professional relationships with the industry as a whole, being directors and actors and producers and whatnot. And like, do you think if we get to the end of the year, like these movies, Dune and The Matrix, they're supposed to come out in the fourth quarter of 2021, are they still getting released on HBO Max the same day as theaters? Or does Warner Brothers correct course at some point in this year? And I change course. Correct course probably isn't the correct.
I honestly, like, I think when Warner Brothers came out with these announcements, they were like, this is not going to be our model going forward. I don't believe that, because, I mean, I think you need movie theaters to make the money. Like, in my opinion, if you don't put out a movie like Wonder Woman in theaters, then how are you making money off of it? I don't understand how that works. And maybe somebody somewhere does. That being said, I think maybe they'll find a model that works for them. But, like, I do not think that this is a model that's going to change. I think this, even if it's not day of theaters and streaming, it's going to be like 2 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that. And like AMC and in other movie theaters trying to play hardball, it feels ridiculous because they don't have a strong hand to play hardball with. Like, I don't think the studios need movie theaters as much as movie theaters need them. It would be kind of like Media Player or Circuit City trying to play hardball, because like distributors for games or whatever are going to Amazon or PS4 or something like that. It's like, I just don't see where you think you have the upper hand here, unfortunately, especially in a time when people can't go to theaters right now. So it's not like they have any cards to hold. They don't have any good cards, so I don't understand. Like, I just think that theaters are unfortunately just gonna die out.
But you think that at the end of 2021 we're still seeing, like, we're gonna see The Matrix on HBO Max the day it releases in theaters?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I wanted to get your thoughts on that because I knew that you would have something to say about it. But Dawson mentioned, we have a little bit of a table read, if you will, a monologue in store, and I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to be able to shout it at the same level that Tom Cruise shouted this. Just to give you some background, apparently on the set of Mission Impossible 7, whatever it's called, there were some people on set, some crew members that were breaking the COVID-19 protocols that they have in place so that they can maintain their shooting schedule. And Tom Cruise was not having it. And he dressed them down with a tone that I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you don't how you show your face again if you're those people that he's yelling at. 'Cause he straight up embarrassed you. So I won't have quite the same tone, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. This is what he had to say to people breaking protocols on the set. We are the gold standard. They're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every fucking studio at night. Insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us. They're using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you motherfuckers. I don't ever want to see it again, ever. If you don't do that, you're fired. If I see you do it again, you're fucking gone. And anyone on this crew that does it, that's it. And you too, and you too, and you. If you ever do it again, that's it. No apologies. You could tell it to the people who are losing their fucking homes in this industry while it's shut down. It's not going to put food on their table. It's not going to pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. The future of this fucking industry. So I'm sorry, but I am beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it, and if you don't do it, you're out. We are not, damn it, I fucked that up. We are not shutting this fucking movie down. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're fucking gone. And so are you, so you're going to cost him his job. If I see it on your set, you're gone. And you're gone, that's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Do you understand the responsibility that you have? Because I will deal with you in reason. If you can't be reasonable, then I can't deal with your logic. You're fired. That's it. That is it. I trust you guys to be here. That's it. That's it, guys. That's not all. That's not it. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm doing today. I'm talking to Universal, to Paramount, Warner Brothers. Movies are going on because of us. We shut down. It's going to cost people their fucking jobs, their homes, their family. That's what's happening. All the way down the line. And I care about you guys. But if you're not going to help me, you're gone, okay? Do you see that stick? How many meters is that? When people are standing around a fucking computer and hanging out around, what are you doing? And that's where the audio ends. So, apparently there were some people huddled around a computer and they weren't far enough apart is sort of what I've heard. And since this audio has come out, a lot of people, several people on the set have reportedly quit the movie. And, he was mad. He was angry, guys. He didn't like people breaking protocols, and he didn't want to see the movie shut down because it's going to hurt people's jobs. So, I'm going to let you guys talk. I'm going to rest my voice for a minute. Channeling Tom Cruise takes a lot of energy out of you, especially for me. So, what do you guys think about this?
I mean, when you first see it, you're like, man, it's another Hollywood asshole ripping. Especially it's Tom Cruise; he's a creep. But then you listen to it, and I know he's yelling at people. You shouldn't yell at people, but you got to understand, he makes really great points the entire time. There's millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars at stake. They shut down once for breaking protocol. No one knows when some inspector could walk in and just be like, okay, that's it. You're done. We're down for 2 weeks. No one's going to keep paying these guys. No one's going to pay the people at home. Who's going to pay for everything that's shut down? If we get delayed, you can't get movies into the studios. The studio doesn't make any money. He's sick of it, and this is dividing a lot of people because don't yell at people like that. But also, some people should be yelled at like this, and there's probably a lot more people that need to be told to fucking knock it off. Just do your job. Do your job. Be a part of this like everybody else. And you know what? We're 10 months into this thing. If you don't know how to tell 6 feet apart, you probably shouldn't be working on a movie set. Like, come on, figure it out. And I agree with Tom. I think Brent kind of agrees with him too, just because he doesn't normally like him and he's doing his own stunts. But being a basically professional stuntman at this point, compared to being an adult and not being able to follow guidelines, two different things. And I can be mad at adult for not following simple rules, where that So just do it.
Yeah, I basically don't really have much to add to what you said there, because I do think these people. I think if more people have been yelled at, maybe we'd be better, positioned with where we are, with this whole COVID thing. I mean, 300,000 Americans have died, and people still aren't taking this thing seriously. So, like, I get it, and I listen to some podcasts with people who are like in the industry, and they talk about all their code restrictions and regulations and things that they have to deal with to try and just, make a television show or make a movie work. And it's like, nobody wants to be the person that gets a movie shut down. So I totally understand it, especially when like the movie industry, I'm not saying that, their future is in doubt, but like, we don't know what it's going to be, because you don't know if you make this Mission Impossible movie and then nobody sees it, or it goes straight to DVD because we can't get COVID going right. We can't fix our own crap. So like, I get it, especially when as a producer, he's got to deal with insurance companies and things like that. And, if it does get shut down, they don't have the money to bring people back, then yeah, one person messing up on a production set can cost somebody jobs for real. Like, that's not hyperbole at all.
Okay. So I do have some stuff to add to it from a different perspective, because whenever I first heard it and we first started talking about it, I was I couldn't believe it. I was 100% on board with Tom Cruise. And I still agree with what he had to say. And I did think, much like you said, Reggie, like if more people got yelled at, maybe people would start taking it more seriously. The problem that I've been struggling with, because while I agree with that, is I like to think of myself as pro worker. And the power dynamic there with someone that has complete control over the situation, just fucking screaming at a subordinate, I'm not necessarily cool with. As a person who's a manager myself, like, reading that just now, like, putting myself in his shoes, like, I couldn't imagine in a workplace and as a producer and a person that's in charge on that set, like, that's just, as a professional, in a professional setting, as a manager and a boss, and the person in charge, that's not how you should be treating people that you're working with, or people that are, especially people that are underneath you. And while I agree with the more people got yelled at, I'm 100% on board with that. I just don't think I'm on board with it from a boss employee perspective. So that's the issue I have. And give me just 1 second. I need to reset something.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if that was just me.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. I definitely understand where you're coming from, and a lot of people have mentioned that, that you do see like stars yelling at like crew and stuff like that on set. I mean, we have Christian Bale as a great example of that. But I think where it's different is he's not yelling at these guys because they got the lighting wrong. He's yelling at them because they're doing something dangerous. It would be the same as yelling at somebody because like some stunt guy yelling at somebody because they didn't put the harness on right, and it's like that might get somebody killed. And like, I do think that there's, especially when, like, I don't know if this is the case, but I would assume and this was not the first time these people have been talked to about this, because he said, "I'm past your apologies," you know.
Even
So
still,
like, I've got to.
even still,
I
that's
don't
not
know.
the that's no. It's never okay from a boss employee perspective to do that. It's
I
never
guess for
okay.
me, what it is I'm just sick and tired of people not taking this seriously and putting other people's lives in jeopardy.
And I agree
So
with you
I
100%
guess
on
that's
that.
why, like, I think in other contexts, yeah, maybe, but like for this one time, I guess is the one time where I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, and as a pro employee person, I can't let myself get behind that, because I was looking at it at first from like he's the star of the movie yelling at the crew, but then I remembered like he's running that show. Like whenever he says he's talking to the studios and he's talking to insurance companies, like he's executive producer on that movie. There is no movie without him. And that brings me to my second point. Like he's talking about shutting down the movie. What have I railed on him about for years?
Yeah.
Him as a singular person, if he gets hurt doing one of those stunts, and I know that he's trained and whatever, but if he gets hurt, it does the same exact thing.
It's not the same though. It's
shutting the movie down, maybe even for longer than it would have if they had to shut down for 2 weeks. It's not not that different.
Right, but I think that I think there's a difference between an accident shutting down a set and somebody willfully being negligent shutting down a set. Those are two different things.
But it has the same effect on the people working on the film.
It may have the same effect, but it's not just. And also, I don't think that those people are at risk of losing jobs if Tom Cruise gets hurt in a normal environment. But
it's needless. It's just as needless as someone not following the COVID protocols. It's needless. It is needless.
I'm sorry.
It's needless. There's absolutely no reason. There's absolutely no reason that it needs to happen. There's absolutely no reason this needs to happen.
If Tom Cruise gets hurt on the set, if Tom Cruise gets hurt on the set, those people aren't going to go home and get their family members sick and maybe kill them. That's not
okay.
His broken foot is not going to travel around the set.
I understand that, and you're right about that. But if he wants to, his whole rant is not about people getting sick whenever they go home. His whole rant is about the movie getting shut down and affecting the industry. That's what he's complaining about. He's not saying you're going to get him sick and he's going to go home and give it to his kids. He's saying you're going to shut this movie down. We're not going to be able to put food on people's plates. We're not going to be able to pay for college educations, all that stuff. People are counting on us. We're creating jobs. This is the stuff he's yelling about. He's not yelling about you're creating an unsafe environment and you're going to get other people sick. I agree with you on that, but that's not what he's railing about.
But that's also just part of a clip of the rant. We don't know that he didn't mention that.
I mean, it's 2.5 minutes of him screaming about that one particular thing.
But like I said, if it's a 5-minute rant, then we may miss that part.
Okay, well, I'll go with what's been released, and we can assume that there might be more to it, and he might have said something different. But judging by what I have, like that's what I'm going off of. But I still, like, my biggest point is that I don't think it's ever okay for a boss to yell at an employee like that under any circumstances. There's always a way that could, if he wanted to yell at someone that he wasn't a boss of about that, like about this, I'm 100% on board. But the fact that as a boss yelling at an employee, that makes it not cool to me. Everything else, the message, everything else behind it, I am 100% with, 100% on board. That's the thing that doesn't make it okay to me. If someone yelled at you, if you weren't doing, even if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, if your boss yelled at you like that, what would you take away from that? Would it improve the situation for you? Would you start doing what you were supposed to be doing? Or would you probably walk off right there? Introspectively, like if someone yelled at me like that, I'm not going to fix anything. I'll just be gone. Like, whatever.
I work in an industry where people, when they fuck up, people can get hurt and killed. And I've seen people get yelled at because some dude was walking way too close to a jet engine while it was running. So I've seen that kind of rant directed at people, and even though like I'm all pro union and everything, I get where that's coming from, because you don't want to have to explain to somebody, family, why they got killed at work because somebody was being negligent and not doing what they're supposed to do. So like I can understand in the moment the lack of professionalism, if you want to call it that.
I'm still saying he's complaining about getting the movie shut down. I'm not going to pretend like there's something there that I haven't heard.
But,
there's no evidence whatsoever that that's what he's complaining about.
What is it? Absent of evidence is an evidence of absence, like just because you haven't heard it doesn't mean it's not there. And I don't think you could dismiss it outright by saying that it's not there.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to go by what I've heard, and I'm going to say that what I heard is not okay. And I think that I'm 100% within reason to say that that's not okay. To me, okay, I'm not saying it has to be okay to you or to anyone else. To me, that's not cool. I agree. Like I said, I agree with everything else. That's what makes it not okay to me. And it has nothing to do with it being Tom Cruise. Like I threw the stunt stuff in as a little bit of a jab, even though there is a little bit of truth to that.
But I mean, that's how you flipped your whole argument. You just said, because that's all if this was Chris Evans flipping out on somebody, we don't have you do your own stunts to shut it down.
But I threw that in there. My real argument is the boss thing, and that's why I came back to it. And that's why I started with it. That's why I came back to it, because that's the real issue for me. It doesn't have to be an issue for you, and you can be okay with it. And I don't think that makes you a bad person it doesn't make you a bad person in my eyes. But for me, like I've been a boss. It's not how you handle people, and that's not how you get results. And that's not like, just fire them, just let them go if that's how you're going to handle it. Honestly, because that's not improving the situation for anyone. Making an example out of someone like that doesn't improve anything. It doesn't. It makes for a really piss poor working environment.
Okay, I guess I get it.
It's the question of the week. Your answers we seek. Question of the week. Movies.
You know what I think about Tom Cruise? You know what I think about him?
That boy's one mean motherfucker.
Oh, we got in the weeds there. What's next? We do box office after the news? Is that what we do?
That's what we do.
Box office. Box office results for the week of December 11th through the 13th, 2020. In this industry that keeps chugging along, making movies in safe environments. Number 1, The Croods, A New Age, $3 million. Number 2, a movie called Half Brothers, which I've never heard of in my life, $495,000. Number 3, Elf. That's right, Will Ferrell's Elf, $400,000. Number 4, Freaky, $314,000. And number 5, The War with Grandpa, in its 10th week, made $264,000. That movie, since it's in its 10th week, I'm curious, has made a grand total of $28 million worldwide, $18 million domestic. So I would venture to say, I know it's Robert De Niro, but I would say that movie might be close to getting in the black. I can't imagine they spent a ton of money on it.
Yeah, no problem.
What's that? What was that?
I gotta sneeze. Bad timing for everything there. Yeah, it's not like it's a CGI fest, so couldn't have cost that much. 20 million, 30 million to make.
I don't know. Couldn't be that bad. But yeah, so it's made some money. Anything else before we go into our review of Jingle Jangle? And Reggie, do you have the IMDb pulled up?
I'll do it right now.
You can do that. And that's the box office results for the weekend of December 11th through the 13th, 2020. Now it's time for our feature presentation.
And now our feature presentation.
Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey, starring Forrest Whitaker, Keegan-Michael Key, Felicia Rashad, Ricky Martin, introducing Madeline Mills, and a bunch of other peoples. It's a Netflix Christmas movie. It came out this year. Directed by David E. Talbert. It's a musical, which when I started watching it, I didn't know. So for me, and maybe only me, it was a very pleasant surprise. I was like, oh, there's musical. Like it was not what I was expecting. I was like, oh, I'm here for this. And just in case you're wondering, the musical, the music from Jingle Jingle is on Spotify. So you could look that up if you wanted to. And I'm really here for it. I am here for it. This is an instant Christmas classic, in my opinion. But basically it stars Forrest Whitaker and Madeline Mills, who plays his granddaughter Journey, and he was a big inventor. Keegan-Michael Key and Ricky Martin, basically at the beginning of the movie, they kind of steal a bunch of his inventions, and he just like can't get over it and can't find the magic again. And he just is on the verge of losing it all. Then he gets estranged from his daughter, who ends up having a daughter of her own. And then that daughter comes to Forrest Whitaker, and hijinks ensue, as they would say. And it's about, finding the spirit of family, I guess. Not necessarily, well, I guess Christmas, if you look at the commercial side of Christmas, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, and there's a lot of music, a lot of dancing. It's got a lot of heart.
Yes, it does.
So we need to handle this delicately. So you mentioned this early on in December, Jingle Jangle, and I was very dismissive because it is a musical and a Christmas musical at that. Like, I like some Christmas movies, but sometimes they can be a bit much for me. And then you throw on top of it the musical aspect of it, and I'm just like, I don't know if this is for me. You know what? I'm not going to watch it. Guess what? Reggie's like, oh, you are going to watch it because I'm picking it for review on Cinema Chat Podcast. So I'm already dreading that I'm going to have to watch it, right? I'm sitting down on the couch one night, and Molly goes, can you do me a favor? And, me being a good husband, I said, for you, anything. Whatever you want, I'll do it. And she said, I want to watch Jingle Jangle. So, since I am the person that streams the movies on Discord for watch parties on Friday night, I can't necessarily skip out. Am I robot?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
For computer issues.
I don't know what's going on tonight. I can't necessarily skip out on the watch party because I'm streaming it. So I watched it with her, and then I had to watch it again. So this movie that I didn't want to see at all, I've watched twice. And look, it's a musical, so I'm not gonna really enjoy it. I've seen a handful of musicals over the years over the course of my lifetime that I've enjoyed that are set up like this. And I will say I can see in it that this is something that someone that likes musicals and Christmas stuff especially would like. I recognize that the music is pretty good. The singing is decent. The performances from the actors are good. Like, the pieces that make a good movie are all here. But it's put together in a package that I don't like. So I struggle with that a bit. I struggle with it a little bit. So, yeah. To say that I like this movie would be an overstretch, I would say.
So it's kind of like me in sports movies.
I mean, yeah, probably. Like, do you ever watch a sports movie and you're like, I can see all of the pieces on why people say this is a good movie. Like, I realize that Denzel Washington gives a great performance in Remember the Titans. And it has all of the things in it that I like in a movie, except that it's centered around football.
Exactly.
So yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah.
I guess it is sort of the same thing. Dawson?
Yeah, I'm right in the same boat. Like, yeah, it's got some good, like, I feel like maybe my kid might like this. My wife probably would have liked it, but she was on the phone for 45 minutes of the movie, talking directly next to me, which, you know, I guess it didn't bother me.
Did she say Keegan motherfucking Michael Key?
Did. Yeah, it's like you were there. But yeah, no, I mean, it's fine. Like Hamilton really caught both of us off guard as really liking it. This one didn't do that for me. It didn't swoop in and knock me off my feet because it's like, oh yeah, this is just a regular musical. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's not for me, but I can definitely agree with Brent. Like, if you like musicals, you'll probably like this, and it'll definitely be a really good fit for you for this holiday. But for me, it's not. It's a pass.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It has everything that I think somebody that likes musicals will like. You know, the musical numbers I think are amazing, especially the ones in like the last bit of the movie. You know, the back half. I think my only complaint is that, and you guys are probably gonna disagree, I'm sure. My only complaint is there weren't enough songs. Like, I wanted more.
Nope.
Like I said, I went to Spotify and I've been listening to like the music on Spotify, and I think this is like a 2.5 hour movie?
2 hour.
How 2 hour? How much singing would you say was in the movie? Like total?
20 minutes.
Yeah, see, 34 minutes. And you know, like, I would have
But that's like 8 songs.
Yes, but what I mean is, like, I would have liked more, you know, especially if it's a true musical, you know, because like Hamilton, like everything in a song, you know, like there's I mean, it is a musical, but like, you know, something like My Fair Lady or Oliver or something, you know, like the acting bits kind of get you to the next song, and this one is like the song gets you to the next plot point.
Now, see, if this had been a movie that had been 90% singing and 10% acting, I would be singing a way different tune right now. No pun intended. I would not be as kind as I'm being right now to this film. In fact, there would have been someone else streaming it, or I would have at least walked away from the computer and let it play, because I would not have watched it twice. I think it has just the right amount of music for me to stay engaged with it throughout. Can I say something controversial here?
Yeah.
Black people are way better at musicals than white people.
I do like, and that's something else that I like about the movie, that was like, it was, I don't know, like, it didn't feel like a black movie, you know, like I feel like anybody could have been in this.
Yeah.
You know, but then I did like that, you know, it was a predominantly, you know, minority cast, and I really dug that, you know.
Yeah, so it goes,
and then,
real quick, just to touch on what you said, and then you can go back to your thought. I always think about this. You said a long time ago, you want to see black people in Star Trek. You don't want to see black Star Trek.
Right.
And that's sort of what I think this is. Like, this is a Christmas movie or Christmas musical that has a lot of minorities in it, but it could have been all white people and it wouldn't have changed a single thing about the story. Like,
Exactly.
it doesn't change
yeah,
anything.
you know, and I just love that about this movie. And I usually hate child actors, but like the children in this movie kind of really did it for me. You know, like they're really great actors, and I can't wait to see like what they do in the future. And like when you think about the Christmas movies, it is about like the family and the conflict. The conflict is usually about people losing what family means and then coming together and finding it in the end, and then finding the magic of the season. I love that. Another complaint, the reveal at the end. What was the point of that?
Dude, that's not a reveal. Like, I knew that 5 minutes in. Like, before they even go into the main plot, I'm like, oh, well, that's going to be a thing. Like,
yeah. Because it's like, could you imagine telling a story about your own family? Then, like, how did they not know who their grandfather?
Well, also, she's like,
great grandfather or whatever.
When she opens the book, she's like, I've never told anyone this story. Well, obviously, it's a fucking personal story at that point. Like, the way she said that, like, it's a very personal story to her. She's never told it to anyone, and now it's time to tell it to someone. Like, of course she's going to be a character in the story. Come on.
Yeah.
And sorry, spoiler alert for Jingle Jangle. But if you don't get that going in, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like, when I finished watching this, I was like, man, what disappointed me was that I couldn't see it in theaters or like I really wanted to see this movie on the big screen or on like live action theater. Like, you know, when you go to see like the Nutcracker or something like that, like this could be one of those things that tours every winter or something. And hopefully it becomes that. But other than that, you know, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. It's like it was made for me. So
dude, I feel like I'm talking to an alien right now. Did you sign a treaty with the American government?
Very much like rose-colored glasses for me.
Man, this guy, I did like. I liked the kids. I especially liked the kid that played Edison.
Yeah,
I thought he was good, and I just looked, and it's his only acting credit on IMDb. Like, apparently, it's the first thing he ever did. So I thought he was good. The guy that played young Geronicus, his name's Justin Cornwell, and he's from Louisville. So I thought that was kind of cool. I thought he was pretty good in the beginning. Of course, Living La Vida Loca, Ricky Martin, he's in there as a voice actor. Yeah, there's stuff there. I think the person in the movie that sort of, if I was going to pick someone that I thought stole the show for me in the movie, it's actually the mail lady.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever she comes in.
Miss Johnston was amazing.
I think she's pretty good, and she's got her little singing trio of guys with her, a little barbershop trio.
Dancers?
I thought that was a funny little thing that continued throughout, but overall, it's just this is not the movie for me. I think Keegan-Michael Key being in it also helped me a little bit, because whenever he was in scenes, I was like, oh, this is a familiar face. Like, I enjoy him and other things. Like, I'll just attach to him for a moment, and we'll get through to the next song, right?
Yeah.
This is technologically not our best show. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know why this all of a sudden started happening. The voice meter thing that makes us robot randomly throughout the show.
Right.
I don't know how to fix that. I don't know what happened. It just started doing it one day. I haven't changed anything. I don't know. Maybe I need to uninstall and reinstall the program or something. But it's a pain in the ass to set up. Reggie, I know you've set it up before, and there's a lot of trial and error that goes. Like, I could take a picture of it right now and set it up exactly the same way, and I feel like it has like a 50-50 chance of working correctly. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it other than it's hard for me to watch a movie like this and enjoy it. And it's sort of what made Hamilton. I think that's why I gave Hamilton such a high score, because I thoroughly enjoyed Hamilton. Like, I wanted to watch it again after I watched it. Like, it was like, fuck, that was great. And if a musical can make me feel that way, it has to be really good. So I think that's like, it's almost like grading on a curve. And Jingle Jangle, while I can see the good pieces of it, doesn't do it for me. Like, I was so bummed out I had to watch this a second time. Because I there was a little piece of me whenever I was watching it with Molly, at least before I started watching, I was like, okay, maybe I'll watch it and it'll be good and I won't have to go into it dreading it for watch party. But while we were at watch party, like, I was already lining up the second movie because I was like, I gotta have something really good after this. It's like a palate cleanser. But dude, it was something else. I'm glad that you enjoy things like that, because people that make things like that need people to make art for, and I'm glad that the people that they're making it for actually exist. Because there are times whenever I watch things like that and I'm like, who is this for? Who are the people that watch it, that watch this? Who are the people that like this? And I found a unicorn. I found one of the unicorns. So
I think there are more of us out there than you think.
I want to believe, you know. Anything else you want to talk about before we give scores? Because I can just spout mine out here. It's doing it again. Damn it.
It is.
No, I think we should probably just get to scores because I don't know, there's a ghost in the machine that hates us.
Yeah, I think I need to restart my PC. You know, like I said, it's not for me. I can recognize the pieces of a good movie in here, and I see entirely what makes it good to other people. It just really doesn't do it for me. I'm not gonna, like, if I was giving it the Brent score with no curve, like, my level of enjoyment is like a 3, but I'll give it a 4.5. I'll give it a little bump. I mean, I can't. I really didn't enjoy it.
I get it.
And it's not. I like I said, I want to be delicate about it because I realize it's a me issue. But yeah,
it's like me and Friday Night Lights.
It's a me. It's a me thing. And if you're listening and you're like me, I want you to know that if you think like I do, that you're not going to like this.
Yeah, so that's pretty accurate. I mean, for me, like, I'm going to give it higher just because I'm not going to trash on it too much, because I would enjoy it, like, if I just watched it and I didn't have, like, my wife sitting next to me talking to me for like 45 minutes on the phone. So I mean, on that alone, and like we've talked about it, it's overall good. I didn't like love it too much. I'll give it a 5.
Okay, it should be no surprise that I'm going to come in real high with this score. I mean, it's a Christmas movie. Christmas is my favorite season, my favorite holiday. I love everything Christmas. It's a musical. I love musicals. It's a, you know, and all that aside, it's still like a really great story. Like, being able to see, like, quantify magic and make, like, magic mathematical is an interesting concept, you know. And then the songs and the numbers are great. I've watched it 4 times already, and so it should be no surprise I really love this movie. But I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
All right, and that gives it an average of a 6.166 repeating. Yeah, I mean, you know what you like, listener. If you like Christmas musicals, if you like Christmas movies, like, there's a good chance that you're going to get some enjoyment out of this. If you, I wouldn't call myself a Scrooge because I do enjoy a good Christmas movie, but musicals, man, that's a tough sell. If it's a tough sell for you, it's going to be a pass, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Agreed.
Know
I
your,
agree with that too a bit.
Know yourself, know your truth. You know, whatever. Anything else before we next week is our best and worst of 2020, which is going to be a much more difficult show to put together this year, I think, because there are not nearly as many movies for us to talk about as we've had in previous years.
The last movie I saw in theaters,
Bloodshot,
was Bloodshot.
I mean, I'm looking at the schedule for this year, and we reviewed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22 movies that were released in 2020. No, 21, because 1917 was not a 2020 movie. So 21 movies where we typically would have 45 to 50. It's going to be tough. But you know what? 2020 has been a tough year. Let's make it work. We'll see you guys next week for our best and worst of 2020. Cinema Chat
see ya.
edition. Yeah. We'll see ya. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, no. I hit the wrong button. This has been a great show. Really just on top of everything.
You don't need to follow me. You don't need to follow anybody.
But you can follow us. I'm Brent, and I am...
X, not Malcolm.
And he's Rob, and he's...
Rob 1.
There's also Reggie, who is...
Hit dog.
We can't forget about Dawson at...
Andy!
Underscore.
Dawson.
Don't forget to follow the podcast at Cinema Chat Pod on Twitter. And check out our website, cinemachatpodcast.podbean.com.
I'm following you now. I'm just going to follow you everywhere. I'm just going to follow you the rest of my life.
Thanks, Peter. Now, if the rest of you would get off your ass and follow us, that would be great.
Mail, motherfucker!
Oh, and don't forget to send your emails to cinemachatpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Please, send us something. Have a good week, everyone. Goodbye. How many times in that rant did he say something like, "You're gone," or "You're fucking gone," or "You're out of here"? I felt like I said it like 87 times.
You gotta get the message across.
I mean, there was one time where he said it 3 times in one sentence. What do we do? You're gone. You're fucking gone. And he's gone, and you're gone with him too. Get out of here.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.